And I actually collected comic books when I was a kid. Really enjoyed it. Like getting the first issue when it came out, and I'd buy 5 copies of the first issue so that I could hopefully resell them later for a profit. I remember when the death of Captain Marvel came out, and I thought, oh, Captain Marvel died. I need to buy 4 copies of this to make sure that I'm positioned in case that becomes a collector's item down the road. So yeah, I think I've always had an eye toward underpriced assets.
From a young age, Gerry Morton developed an eye for spotting value where others do not. He used his talent to transform and rebuild companies, and rebuild his own career after losing everything. A peak performer, Gerry is a veteran of 4 Ironman triathlons, over 30 marathons, and leads a thriving family life as a husband and father. He has taken his passion for health and nutrition to start Energy First and NutriScience Corporation, 2 of the country's leading providers of quality nutrition supplements and cutting-edge health education.
You know, I think going back to my childhood, I was a really unpopular kid. Probably the most unpopular kid in my grade school. I was an only child. I hadn't really learned how to work with other people too well. And I think from that I not only became comfortable working alone, but I also began to really rely on myself for everything. And it became harder for me to rely on other people. I wanted to do things myself and wanted to get it done on my own. And that just naturally lent itself to entrepreneurship. I see value in these situations. Naturally, I look at it and I think, wow, this looks great. And I just assumed everybody would. And it's funny because I've shown the old websites and some of the old company dynamics to some friends. And every one of them had just looked at, why did you buy that? What, are you kidding me? And then they looked at what I did with it and they're just amazed at the difference. So I guess not everybody can see the value in some of these opportunities. I've been diligent about always trying to think out about the biggest future, the biggest dream that I could come up with that's realistic, and then just start backing into it all the way up to today, and then, okay, what are the next steps that I can do today and tomorrow to move me forward, and how can I just start inching toward that day by day. I made, in the span of a few years, a few $1 million, $4 million. I subsequently lost all of that money in 2001 through internet stocks, and it was almost like I'd spent years writing a term paper and then had the computer crash and I lost all of it and felt like I had to write it over again. But to feel like I'd made all this money to where I was really financially free, and then to go back to zero and have to start over again was just devastating for me. And it was also a big motivator, and it has allowed me to really appreciate now this second time that I'm kind of going up and making it over again. It's harder to buy revenue. If you've got revenue in a company, you can bring in good operations, you can bring in good financial management. It's hard to just go out and hire somebody that's going to bring in all the sales, because if they could bring in all that money, they'd go do it for themselves or they could do it for anyone. So I think sales solves most problems in a company, and if you can get good sales, I think it's the most important element. So as an early entrepreneur or a young entrepreneur, I'd want to position myself as close to as many successful people that have done what I wanted to do in their lifetime, and try to not only learn from that experience, but position myself amongst the most successful people I can find, so that I can not only learn, but also be ready to be in a position to take advantage of opportunities as they might come along. So just really focusing on the value of relationships and the value of people.